Hi, I'm Maui,
Hey, I'm Marathi.
and we're friends that have been making games since high school, and we've really not been able to see a game through to the end, and it's sort of bugging me. So I've sort of like proposed we make these devlogs that will basically keep us on our toes and make us want to keep working on the game and hold us accountable, and you guys can hold us accountable, and basically for like examples, we worked on a Metroidvania 2D platformer as our first game, and it was way too big of a project for our first game. And then we decided, all right, let's go smaller scale, and we made like a 2D Pikmin platformer, and that wasn't too big of a scope, but we had to go back to college, and so we sort of fell off working on it. And then finally, we earlier this summer we made a vacuum cleaner competitive game. We actually finished a playable version, which you can actually go and download. It's on the itch page linked in the description.
You do need 2 players for it, though.
Yeah, you do need 2 local multiplayer. And yeah.
So, the game we're going to present to you guys is a top-down pixel art type of game. Mainly some inspirations for coming up with this is Enter the Gungeon. We really just liked how fast-paced it was and just the overall art style. And I would also say all the Legend of Zeldas as well. It's been a part of both of our childhoods. And
More of mine.
yeah, I was a big Sony fan, unfortunately, but still an amazing game, and it kind of made the genre what it is. So we've taken a lot of inspiration from that, and so for this game, what we're kind of looking at is more of a 2-year development cycle. Now, 2 years might seem like a long time in just kind of broad sense, but more or less, like in those 2 years, we're going to be constantly learning. We're going to be constantly just innovating, just making the levels better, making the animations better. So along the way, we're really just kind of learning and just becoming better game devs along the way. So I think 2 years is a reasonable time to release this.
So the game in question, it's called Dead Man's Dread, but as you'll hear us call it, we usually refer to it as DMD, sort of the first letters, because, you know, Dead Man's Dread is a lot of syllables. I'm a programmer and I'm lazy, so
We're both lazy.
that's just how it be.
Sorry.
And so, speaking of programming and all that, the tools we'll be using is we're going to be using the Godot engine because it's super friendly, and I've gotten really used to it because I've used it for the past 2 games for Virginians and the 3D vacuuming game, and so we're just going to use it for this game as well. We're going to be using Pixel Edit for doing the pixel art because Pixel Edit is really nice for animations and especially tile sets, and it's also a really nice UI. We'll also be using GitHub and GitKraken for version control and project management, and they basically allow for collaboration if we're not specifically together, and it also makes it so we can go to any version of the game from the past. So you might be wondering, what makes your game different? Well, our game is actually different than the other girls, because we've added this... It is. But we've added this customization system where you'll be able to choose your playstyle, essentially. Because if you play The Legend of Zelda, or you play Enter the Gungeon, you're sort of stuck to one style of play. In The Legend of Zelda, you're probably playing a slow, methodical, thought-out process, whereas Enter the Gungeon, it's all balls to the wall, playing really fast-paced. Well, what if one time you play the game, you want to play it at that slow, methodical pace, but other times you just want to breeze through it? So we've added the different customizations that you'll be able to do that.
Yeah, so what we really wanted to do was kind of create a game that curates for all types of playstyles, or if not most, because, you know, a lot of players are different. I prefer more casual games, and I know Maui prefers more shooters. So we wanted to kind of create a game that can find kind of a sweet spot in between both of them.
So yeah, we're gonna jump right into development, and I'll update you when we have something to show off. Alright, it's probably a good time to show off what I have done so far. So it's pretty simple. So we just got a kinematic body with his collision shape. We got the sprite with the different animation things set. We have an animation player with a few animations for all the different directions. And so and then there's also the player script, which I'm not going to go into the code because that's pretty boring for a YouTube video. But so far, player can move around, and the player will look towards the mouse cursor. I haven't implemented the hands yet because it's going to be a little bit more complicated to implement those. But so far, movement works. He looks at where you're aiming, and yeah. I'm gonna work on making the hands so that the player has something to wield weapons with, and I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back with the hands done. So what I basically did was I made two sprites, one left hand, one right hand. They're both just 4x4 sprite for the hands, and I made it so that their positions change. Let me pull up the script real quick. Yeah, I changed their positions based on the direction the player is looking. I also changed the Z index so that they can be in front or behind the player depending on the direction you're looking. It also looks nice with the walking since they don't move, but the player does, so it sort of adds to the walking animation. But yeah, it looks good. So next, I should probably implement the weapon system.
Hey guys, so I just wanted to showcase some of my work for the forest tile set. So we just have some simple assets such as a grass asset. Over here, this dirt is kind of like the walls or the boundaries for the player area, dirt path and water tiles as well, and just some environment assets just to make the environment look a little pretty. All of these over here are going to alpha, so we can just kind of overlay the tiles on top of each other.
Alright, there is a lot to unpack right here. So this is the basic level. I implemented the tile set that Murabi made, and this is sort of what it looks like. I used multiple layers of tile sets to create that sort of layered effect that he was talking about. So let's go into our character scene real quick, and you can see it got a little bit more complicated. Before we just had the left hand and right hand being sprites, but now they're just nodes. And I do that for the different animations I've created with everything. I'll show them off when I'm showing off all the weapons. And I've also gone and created a bunch of different weapons. So I actually created 2 swords. I created this normal one, and I also created this, I'm calling it a void sword. I'm not sure what its functionality in the game will be quite yet. But the reason I have 2 swords is because I was creating the weapon switching before I made the guns and fireballs. So I only had 1 sword. I needed to test switching weapons, so I created a second sword real quick. So if we can look at the guns, and I made just the normal gun. You've seen these sprites, and then the basic fireball, which is just the book, and it'll spawn fireballs. So if I go ahead and start this real quick, I can't see the character. Oh, I made him invisible, that's why. So if I go ahead and start this real quick, you can see the character holds his sword, and the sword is always facing towards the mouse, or sort of a 90 degrees from the mouse. That's because when you swing it, you'll sort of swing in that direction. And so, like, every time you click, you do a swing. So same with the void sword, and the void sword actually switches the way that the blade is facing, which is pretty cool. Also have the little animation on the hand of it going out a little bit for the swing. And we also have the gun, which just sort of fires bullets. Not really much to it. If you notice, the hand sort of kicks back when you fire. It's not as noticeable, but it's same animation I have on the book. I'm not quite sure how I want the casting a spell animation to work. So for now, it's just like a gun, essentially, where it knocks back a little bit and shoots out a fireball. Like I said, I'm not quite sure how I want the spell casting to work, but we'll figure it out. So yeah, that's the weapon system and the tile sets implemented. As you can see, there's also collision with the walls and water. Bullets and stuff will get destroyed on the wall. They also get destroyed when they go out of the scene, but you can't see it. They go over water. Yeah. That's the weapon system.
Hey again. So I'm really excited about this. This is our first kind of basic type of enemy, and we're calling it a skitter. So this little guy over here is kind of reminiscent of sort of like an elephant with a leaf on top of his head, but he's a cutie. So first I'm going to show you his run animation. So as you can see, he's going forward in this frame. The hair kind of flips up and down as he's running. And we have that for all of his movement states, which are just a front facing view, kind of a down view, and a left and a right. So this is his side views. It's kind of a down view of it. Next we have an idle animation. This is kind of like a simple bop, and his hair kind of goes up and down with it. So same thing, we have the side views as well on all of those, as well as the down view. And one thing I kind of wanted to really accent was just the way his tail moved. So I tried to make it as fluent as possible, but that's subject to be changed as we start implementing this more and more. So one thing we wanted to do was kind of have this cute little guy come after you and kind of change the tone with him, making him more of a kind of like a creature you have to fight. So for our attack animation, he extends his trunk out and kind of like snaps at you. And as you can see, he has his like teeth visible, and you can clearly see his eyes goes red, which symbolizes evil, I guess. But yeah, so that's gonna be a front-facing attack, and these are the side attacks as well. Since he doesn't really go up that much, we didn't feel like he needed to really move his hair all that much as well. He's just only kind of tilting his head forward and tilting it back. And that is a downwards view of it. Finally, we kind of want to go back to the cute little creature he is, so whenever he's defeated, just kind of looks up to the heavens and kind of comes crashing down. So one thing we also want to add to this animation was kind of like a poof after he's defeated. Once we get that done, I'll definitely let you know how that looks. And these are the side views of that, as well as a down view. The hurt animation is just kind of him crying, you know. He's got a little bruise.
Hey guys, I'm back to show you what I have done with the first enemy that we're calling a Skitter. So, it looks like a lot's going on here, but it's actually not that complicated. But I'll go ahead and show you what he acts like in game. So he has two non-aggressive states. He has his idle and his like wander. So like right now he's idle and he can wander. See if he decides to turn while wandering. Everything's completely based on a random number generator, whether he stops idling or not, or whether he turns or whatever he is doing. But yeah. So he can turn on his own. So if you approach him while he is sort of in either of these states, he'll start charging you. He'll run faster than he wanders, and if you get out of his range, he'll sort of ignore you. Now, if you let him come up and attack you, he does his like little attack animation. So yeah, so we got the attacks. That's weird. Yeah, we got the attacks working, and we also have it so that if you, let's do it with the fireball. If you hit him, that will put him into an aggro state, so he will chase you no matter where you are on the screen. You can't lose him when he's in his aggro state. So he'll constantly chase you. Yeah. And if you kill him, he sort of has his death and little particle animation. Alright, that'll do it for the first devlog. Sorry that went a little long. The future videos will definitely be shorter. We just wanted to get more done in the first devlog.
Yeah, so for our additional devlog, what we're going to be trying to work on is additional enemies and just some added player functionality to it.
Yeah, and if you want to play the current version of the game, after every devlog, we will be uploading a playable version to our itch page. You can go to that in the description. So, and you can also play the other game I talked about at the beginning of this video. But yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah.
So see you next devlog.
Thanks for watching.